threats are different, and there are real threats of being shot at by other people, right? So what we could describe as better. Are they better because they have more equipment? Are they better because they are better paid? Are they better because they are better trained? They certainly have a lot more exposure to training. But what is the morale and the ethic that obtains today? I feel perhaps that it is not quite the same as the time when I was a young officer. I mean, look at, for example, the debacle that is facing this country now with the OPVs. And I say a debacle. I mean, I'm talking from a very selfish point of view. I'm a man who likes to go to sea. And when the government talked about getting OPVs, boy, I wish I could have found the fountain of youth to be 20-something again. I would have been back there. I'm sure the threat analysis was done to determine that we need something like this. I have my own views about the numbers, but certainly we need these kind of vessels. I think there's a lot of misinformation in the public domain about what the vessels are intended for. Trinidad and Tobago, let me just tell you this. Trinidad and Tobago went to the UN last year to make a claim for an extended continental shelf. You know what was the implications there? We're now looking to be able to exercise jurisdiction well over 200 miles from our coast. Well over, out into the deeps in the Atlantic. The technology today for offshore oil is real, despite whatever happened in the Gulf of Mexico, is real. And very soon, and I'm sure there are people who have been knocking at the government's doors to go and drill outside there. The government has already given out lots of bids and acreages on the north and the east of Trinidad and Tobago. I have been part of the delegation, the Trinidad and Tobago delegation that negotiated the delimitation with Grenada. We didn't complete the negotiations with Barbados because that went to the tribunal. But when we look at what is standing between Trinidad and Grenada, there are a lot of resources out there. There's a lot of gas. We know that the gas is there. We have to protect it. Because terrorism is a real threat today. And the boats, despite the 6 boats from Australia that they got, they can't go outside there and do it. They can't go outside there and commercial protection. They're not designed for that kind of thing. So we need to have boats that can go out there and stay out there. Somebody would have thought about it, but nobody asked me, but that's my opinion, right? And I hope that perhaps the Coast Guard could get some vessels. I thought that, and know that by reading something I said at my final parade, I think the sentiments that I expressed then are very, very appropriate today. You know, and despite the fact that I spent all these years in the Coast Guard and I was able to get an academic qualification that has served me very, very well. And today I'm the director of the Institute of Marine Affairs, an area of interest that I picked up in the Coast Guard. Right? As a young officer on board a ship when Professor Julian Kenny came with his natural science class to take them out on field work to go to sea. I stood there, hearing him lecturing his students, showing them things and so on. And I learned a few expressions. I didn't know what the hell upwelling was, and lots of stuff. But after hearing it quite a few times, then when I got command of the ship, I told him, don't take your equipment back to you. Leave the equipment on board my ship, so whenever you want to go to sea, call me and we'll go. And that led from one thing to the next to my interest in marine science. I have always encouraged the officers and men not to let grass grow under their feet. Study something. There's life after the Defense Force. Right? There's life after the Defense Force. When you look at our retirement age, it's quite young, right? And we have choices. One of the things that irks me, is this. There's a certain stereotyping of people from the Defense Force by society. And I'm saying this without trying to be offensive. You know what a lot of people in big places outside think. They say, oh, so you're retiring, you could offer you a security job. You understand? So I kept, many times I said, why do you think anybody who comes from the Defense Force want to go into security? It's not something against security, but they naturally go that way. Why do you think? I said, listen, we have several other abilities, right? And we have developed these over the years while we serve. So what I have always been encouraging sailors, and a lot of them I'm pleased to say have developed their own niches and have gone on to do very well. I'm going to read some excerpts from my final address. And one of them says that over the last few days, many questions have been put to me about retirement. One such question was, how do you feel? In answering this simple question, I am reminded of a quotation from Martin Luther King that has served me well for many years. And I quote, "Not everyone can be famous, but everyone can be great. This greatness comes from service to the nation and its people," unquote. And I certainly felt that I had served very well, and I felt great about it. I went on to say that I had served 32 years and 10 months. I had given not only my youth, but also I had offered to give my life. And such is the unique and dangerous nature of this profession of arms. I'll give you a quotation from the attestation. You know, when you join the course, you have to sign an attestation. And it says that the excerpt from the attestation that I swore to was this: that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Trinidad and Tobago, and that I will, as in duty bound, honestly and faithfully defend the state and the dignity of the state against all enemies. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I felt confident that I lived up to that oath. Some persons ask as well, to what end did I give service? And my answer was this: in this era of selfish pursuits of material gain, I was fortified by my belief that the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force has a vital and necessary role to play in the development of my young country. And that if other institutions should falter, fail completely, or be unable to perform in a crisis, this organization must be capable of rising to the challenge of keeping our country afloat. Ladies and gentlemen, this belief had guided me throughout my career, from the day I was commissioned to the day I became Chief of Defense Staff and finally retired. And even today, I still feel those sentiments. I was also asked whether I was satisfied. And I chose to answer this way. I believe that the military life, whether soldier, sailor, or airman, is a good life. The human qualities it demands include fortitude, integrity, self-restraint, personal loyalty to other persons, and the surrender of the advantage of the individual to the common good. Anyone can spend his life in it with satisfaction, but there is more. Bertrand Russell wrote, "The performance of public duty is not the whole of what makes a good life. There's also the pursuit of private excellence, end of quote. Both of these are to be found in the military life. It gives much and it takes more, enriching freely anyone prepared to give more than he can get. And that is very true. I would think so, because when I look back on all the personal gains I've made from the military because of my service. Throughout my career, valuable and fulfilling life experiences have enriched me. While attempting to direct force into the practice of total quality leadership, it became beyond meaningful to share the load of personal difficulties shouldered by some of the personnel of the force, who after all are citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. And the leadership in the military is leading your men, sharing their difficulties, helping them along with their difficulties. Yes. Some other comments that I made that I thought I need to share with you. Defense of the nation is a great calling. With it comes the duty of protecting the people, their value system, and their material well-being. Therefore, you must conduct yourselves in a manner that will build strong bonds of mutual trust between the defense force and the people you serve. That's my address to the soldiers and sailors. If you are to expect the country to entrust its young sons and daughters and its security to the defense force, then you must earn the respect of competence, fidelity, and ethical behavior. Conversely, I say to the country's leaders that if military personnel are to undertake the obligation of becoming highly skilled in a complex and dangerous enterprise, they must be able to trust that the state will provide them with adequate material and psychological support. I went on to ask the national community to remember that military people are thinkers and deciders. They accept that the process of making some judgments is at the heart of military competency, and they practice the thinking and decision-making process in a conscientious manner. And this is at all levels, whether you're a sailor or Commodore, private or brigadier. You know, I said that Defense Force is important for the country. There's indeed a wealth of resources within the Defense Force, and they complement the civilian world. Therefore, greater efforts at integrating the professional soldier or sailor into national strategic planning processes should be undertaken. In support of this view, I offer an argument by Sir William Francis Butler against isolating armed forces from the rest of society. He noted that the nation that will insist on drawing a broad line of demarcation between the fighting man and the thinking man is liable to find its fighting done by fools and its thinking done by cowards. End of quote. As a young developing nation, Trinidad and Tobago should take note of this philosophy, should look at the untapped resource that the Defense Force represents, and should seek to maximize the potential of the good for the good and welfare of our nation. I think those sentiments that I expressed on my time are still very, very valid today. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your patience.